I was the guy sitting alone at a wedding, pretending to study a centerpiece, so I didn't have to meet anyone's eyes. Phones were lifting like periscopes, whispers moving across the room like gnats, and I was already drafting the text to my driver when a voice slid in behind me, soft and confident, saying, "You look like you need rescuing." She was in a navy dress with a headset and a tablet. "The uniform of someone who keeps 1,000 things from falling apart," she said. Her name was Jade, wedding coordinator, fire putter outer, human traffic cone. Then nodded toward a woman in emerald doing slow circles, a couple of guys at the bar sighting me like a target, 3 aunties practicing their camera angles. "If you want out, pretend you're with me." I stood and felt the temperature drop, cameras lower. Emerald recalculating her route, and Jade hooked her hand through my arm like we'd done it for years, easy as breathing, narrating in a low voice so it looked like we were actually working. "Vegetarian head count is 42, cake table needs a 2-inch pivot, first, dance bumps 5 minutes, nod. If you understand." I nodded, and for the first time all night the pressure in my chest loosened. Backstage felt like an orchestra tuning the chef, sweating over a mountain of plates, the florist fussing one petal at a time, the band arguing with a power strip, and Jade just floated through it steady, without being bossy, everyone listening. And I realized I was smiling. Not the photo smile, the other one I save for when I need to remember I'm human. A centerpiece started to tip, and I caught it on instinct. She handed me her tablet to reset the flowers. "Nice reflexes," she said. "You in logistics," and I said something like that because it's simpler than saying, "I run Arden Group," which moves the unglamorous arteries of the world and makes people treat you like a vending machine with a pulse. Then Emerald slid in front of us with a perfume cloud and a smile set to hungry. "Hi there, don't think we've met. I'm Clarissa. You look familiar." Bored together, maybe. And Jade stepped in, so smooth it felt like kindness. "So sorry." Late for a lighting check, restrooms are past the bar, and Clarissa blinked, smiled, sidestepped. "Yeah, that happened." We did laps like conspirators. I opened a second bar when the first drowned. I spotted an older woman standing alone with her purse hugged like a life vest and whispered, "She looks marooned," Jade said. "Aunt Ruth, seating C8, always near an exit. In case she needs to bail, want to bring the party to her." And we did appetizers and gentle questions and a bridge to 2 guests who loved Golden Age musicals, and watching her shoulders drop felt like fixing a stuck window, small right necessary. Dinner with the vendor table was pure sitcom. The photographer swore a ring-bearer's lab ate the rings. The florist admitted she once put out a flaming veil with her bare hands. Somebody asked what I did, and I said, "Business management," took a long sip of sparkling water, and Jade looked at me over her glass like, "I'll let you keep that for now, but I can do math." Later on the dance floor, the room shrank to a bubble, a slow jazz standard carrying us, and she said, "You're not terrible," like she was surprised. I said mandatory elective in grad school, and instantly regretted the breadcrumb. She smiled like she'd seen the breadcrumb, and left it where it fell. And when she asked why I'd been sitting alone, I gave her the careful version. Bad experiences work, that makes it hard to let down the drawbridge. "People who want access more than they want you," she said. "People will always have expectations. You get to choose which ones you carry." Made it sound simple. Made me want to believe it. The next morning she texted me to meet at Grounds and Grace tiny cafe on Pine Blueberry Scone. Already halved when I got there. "I bet you drink it black," she said. "I bet you memorize floor plans," I said. And for an hour we laughed about the cake cut at sunset, and Maya's dad losing his battle with tears until her phone buzzed, and I heard the edge in her hiss. "Of course I can fix it back at the table," she said. "Corporate anniversary, 200 guests, my caterer and florist both canceled. There's a chance I age 10 years by lunch, and the part of me that problem solves before it thinks took the wheel. What's the concept? Elegant but not stuffy. Sophisticated, not pretentious. CEO. Cares about quality more than flash. Who's the company? Whitaker Foundry, 25 years. I knew Whitaker, good people trying to reinvent an old machine. I made 2 calls I shouldn't have made so casually. And 30 minutes later, the chef at a hotel that books out months ahead and a florist with a 6-month wait list both said yes for Friday. Jade looked at me like I'd bent a streetlight with my hands. People don't pick up when I call those places. You must be very persuasive. And I said persistent, which is the kind of half-truth that tastes honest and still lets you hide. Friday night, the riverside atrium looked like a magazine spread candlelight, and honest food dressed up just enough flowers that felt planted on purpose. Whitaker shook Jade's hand with both of his and said, "You saved us." Then turned to me, and here comes the twist right down the center line. "You are Caleb," I said. He frowned like a crossword. "Huh? You look a lot like that Arden guy on CNBC. And in that tiny pause, the whole room seemed to lean in. Jade saw it cut in. "We should check lighting cues. We'll be right back," and in the quiet behind a drape, she didn't yell, which somehow hurt worse. "Caleb Arden. And I've been introducing you as my pretend boyfriend and my assistant and my coffee date." "Why didn't you just say it?" "Because when I say it, rooms do this," I said, gesturing toward the curious faces, "because the last time I believed I could be a person and not a headline, I got sold for clicks." She took that in without blinking, then said, "You let me worry about deposits while you pulled strings like a puppeteer." And I said I was trying to help without colonizing your life, and she laughed. "Not mean, just tired. Here's the thing, you asked me to pretend for you, but you never trusted me with you. You decided I couldn't handle the truth, so you handled it for both of us, which, yeah, fair. We finished the event because she's a pro, and I can take a cue, and 2 nights later she invited me to the Starlight Children's Fund Gala, not as camouflage, as a test. I need to see your world, not the version you curated for Saturday. The Langford Ballroom smells like money and polished wood. Attention moves like weather in there, and walking in with Jade on my arm changed the barometer. A reporter slid over with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Arden, who's your companion?" "This is Jade Sinclair," I said, "one of the best coordinators in Harbor Heights, and she's literally keeping the engine from blowing a gasket tonight." The reporter blinked, backed off, and the night turned into what it always turns into, people pretending they're not networking, while they definitely are. And Jade could feel how fast the currents move when my name is in the water, how the deference lands on your skin, how business cards appear like contraband. And halfway through the auction, I almost bid on a Tuscany week, like a 20-year-old trying to impress a first date. And she squeezed my hand and whispered, "Don't buy something that matters to you, not something you think I'll post." So I funded scholarships for kids without ladders. And in the car afterward, she stared out the windshield and said, "It's a fishbowl, you swim fast. You look graceful, but it's still glass." "I don't know how to be any other way," I said, and she nodded, opened the door. "I need a few days." 4 days later, she came to my office with her spine straight, and her eyes clear, took the sofa instead of the chair across from my desk, and told me the truth I'd been avoiding. "I think you want the idea of being known more than you want to be known. You want the relief of someone seeing past your money, without the risk of them finding the scared part under it. That's not a crime. It's just not a relationship. If you ever want to try again, do the work for you, not as a performance to win me back. If it leads you to me, maybe, but it can't start with me." So I started therapy twice a week, story time at the Children's Hospital, where kids don't care what you own, as long as your silly voices land. I promoted 2 deputies and learned the company doesn't explode. If my hands aren't on every lever, I stopped confusing control with safety and competence with love. And 3 months in, I ran into Aunt Ruth in the hospital cafeteria. She stirred her tea like it owed her money. Asked about that nice girl, and when I said we'd gone separate ways, she patted my hand twice and gave me the only advice that mattered. If there's something to say, go say it. That night I took Jade to Maplewood Commons' small garden, faint basil and wet dirt in the air, and told her straight, I did what you asked, not for you at first. For me, I like the man I'm becoming. I'm not asking you to believe me, I'm asking for room to prove it. Slow boundaries, full honesty, even when it costs me, say no, and I leave you alone and keep going. Say maybe, and I earn each next step. She stood by the little fence and let the city breathe around us, then came back with tears that made my throat tight. I missed you, she said, not the brand, not the access you. The guy who sees Aunt Ruth at the edge of a room and gets her a chair, but if we do this, we do it differently. No, pretending. No half-truths stretched like plastic wrap. If you're tired, say tired. If you're scared, say scared. If your board expects a trophy date, say it and we'll decide together. Deal, said voice not as steady as I wanted. Also, she added with a crooked smile, no Tuscany bids unless I ask. We stood, and I asked her to dance. Right there, she said, there's no music. I said there's always music. And I meant the distant train, and the wind chime, and the hum of streetlights. We swayed like people who almost dropped something irreplaceable. I love you, I said. No. Orchestra, no confetti. And she said, I love you too, and I'm still mad. Both can be true, which felt like real life to me. And then on her steps, a flash popped across the street. Phone up angle just right. And an hour later, a blog ran a headline. Event planner snags billionaire. New power couple. And we didn't go live or clap back. We ate chips from a bodega, wrote 3 rules on her fridge. Tell the truth, go slow, choose each other privately before we perform anything publicly, and no, that's not a fairy tale. It's better, it's the start of something we can actually carry. Now it's your turn. Was Jade right to walk away when she did? Or should I have been given grace sooner? Is hiding your last name to protect your peace the same as lying? And in your world, can privacy and honesty live in the same house without breaking furniture? Drop your take in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from. And if you've ever felt a room decide who you were before you spoke, tell me how you rewrote that story. You know what I mean?